So you know that feeling of taking a bite of your favorite food when you've been waiting for hours to eat and you're just so hungry? Or that feeling of seeing and reconnecting with someone that you haven't seen in ages? Or just the relief of getting into bed after a long day when you're exhausted? You know, I think everybody in life goes through this cycle of suffering and relief to some extent. And so simply put, that's why I think Portland's worst trait is also its best trait, which is, well, I'm gonna tell you. But if you're the type of person who can't handle a little bit of discomfort, or someone who needs everything to always be perfect all the time, then Portland probably isn't going to be a good fit for you. However, if you are someone who loves to ride the waves of changing seasons, or someone who can embrace the balance of good and bad coming in cycles, and most of all, someone who knows how to truly appreciate the beauty of life, especially after a little bit of difficulty and discomfort, then you might know what I'm talking about in this video. Now, maybe you've guessed that I'm ominously leading into a video about the homeless problem in Portland. Or maybe you think I'm talking about how bad traffic is getting lately. Or maybe I'm talking about the ant problem that so many Portlanders get to know at one point or another. But no. No. I'm talking about the weather. Now, before I continue, real quick, if you're here because you're thinking of moving to Portland, give me a call, text, email, or just book a video call with me so we can connect. I love it when people like you get in touch after finding these videos, and I love having the opportunity to help people move up to Portland to buy their dream home. All my contact information is right down below this video, so whether you're moving in a few weeks or a few months, get in touch today in whatever way is most convenient for you. All right. Talk to you soon. Now, we just got out of one of the worst winter storms I've ever seen since living in Portland. We're talking 60+ mph sustained winds with a wind chill of -8 degrees, snow, and even worse, layers of ice that coated like the entire city. It was wild. There were downed trees all over town, some of which damaged people's homes, caused power outages for thousands of people. Both my kids' schools were canceled for an entire week, and it was just not good. There were a few days there where you couldn't even go outside without risking slipping and falling on the ice. From the time the storm began to the time we could kind of go back to normal was about 7 or 8 days, I would say. But now, after experiencing the last week, not gonna lie, it almost feels like summer now. Walking around the neighborhoods with temperatures getting into the 50s this week make the previous week feel almost like a bad dream. But the thing about bad dreams is you eventually wake up from them and everything's fine. And I guess that's the point of this whole video, is that right now this 53 degrees, partly cloudy, partly rainy, maybe even a little bit of sun in the middle of January makes me feel really good after that icy mess we dealt with last week. I'm just appreciating this moment of beauty so much after the brutal storm we just had. What inspired me to make this video was I was walking my dog yesterday when the sun was out, the ground was wet from what seemed like a fresh rain, but the sun was shining and I was just appreciating it all. And then I looked across the street to see a girl, eyes closed, arms stretched out to her sides like this, facing the sun, also taking a moment to soak it all in and appreciate the moment. It made me realize that this is a special spot. Special because I think you really appreciate the nice days even more than if it were nice all the time. Like after having a bout of unfavorable weather, it really forces you to have enhanced levels of appreciation of the nice days. Just like why that meal tastes better when you're extremely hungry. When Portland gets its nice days throughout the year, especially throughout the most difficult parts of the year, which is winter. Not to sound cheesy, but makes it feel kind of like a magical place. So while yes, a place like Florida or LA or Vegas will always get more days that are beautiful and sunny throughout the year, and some people will probably argue that for that specific reason, those places are nicer places to live. But Portland gets incredibly nice days too, just not as much. But when they do come, you appreciate it that much more. So on a broader scale, if you zoom out at the rest of the year, the cycle of waiting out the bad for things to get really, really good is a yearly cycle. It's like winter is this kind of great hunkering down where you just got to embrace more rainfall. And like I said before, sometimes it gets really bad for a stretch of days, but even in the dead of winter, you get these stunningly beautiful days. And as each cold and rainy day passes, you get closer to spring. And in the springtime, things start to get really magical. After that long stretch of colder, wetter days, we are rewarded with the sun coming out out more often and the trees get their leaves back and the flowers bloom again. Everything comes to life again, and it's like a hit of dopamine across the entire city that everyone feels after the cold and wet winter we just endured. Jacket weather gradually turns into sweatshirt weather, and sweatshirt weather gradually turns into shorts and t-shirt weather as it continues to get even better when you head into summer. And that is mostly sunshine. Days that you spend out at the river, or reading a book in the shade at the park, or attending music festivals or outdoor events across the city, camping trips in the mountains, or the perfect bike ride across town. The ice storm that happened 5 or 6 months prior feels like a long past memory. It really just doesn't get much better than summer in Portland, but even summer has its extreme and uncomfortable weather events. Like sometimes we get heat waves that bring temperatures into the triple digits. It's nothing like an ice storm, but in some ways it sucks just as bad. And as always, those days pass and it cools back down to something more mild. Eventually you get into the fall where you get a much welcome cooling down and the beauty of the leaves changing colors. We find ourselves getting into the Halloween spirit, going to the pumpkin patch or watching the giant pumpkin regatta. A bit more rain here and there, and Thanksgiving has us winding down and easing back into the season of cold. I really think the festivities of fall help us settle back into the mindset of, well, it's getting colder and wetter and it's not great, but like everything, this too shall pass. And then before you know it, you're back into winter. I personally love the changing seasons here in Portland, and I love the variety the weather brings to the city and the different collective mindsets that come with each season. That's why I think the worst thing about living in the city is also the best, because going through the worst possible weather makes the best possible weather feel that much better. So that's about all I've got to say on this topic. And if you're curious about how Portland is doing in the wake of the pandemic, go ahead and check out this video right here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you over there.